Michelle, and this guy is Bear. And we, hopefully, without much interruption, are going to try and do a quick little ab series with the Pilates ball. A lot of my clients absolutely love this little prop because it's really supportive on your back, and it just kind of takes that pressure out of the lower back, which is really lovely. Myself as an instructor, I love it for my clients because we tend to get very grippy in our pelvis, and that is really the biggest demise to being able to truly find your core. So we'll get started. I think I'm gonna put this guy outside of the room though, even though he is super cute. He's gonna be a big interruption. Come on, buddy. Come on. Good boy. Good job. All right, so let's get started with the ball under the pelvis. Mine is a little bit squishy, by the way. I personally just like it that way for all the other different moves that I like to do. But if you want to blow yours up, it's just going to make it a little bit more challenging. So you'll place the ball under your pelvis. So the biggest thing is trying to find that neutral spine, right? So we don't want like the ribs flaring. We don't want to feel like this pressure in the neck or the shoulders here. So the biggest thing is that I'm focusing on pulling my ribs down, which can then cause that pelvis to tuck a little bit. So I'm keeping my ribs grounded, but I'm also keeping my pelvis grounded. So I want to literally feel, in an essence, that there's like a bowling ball sitting on my hips and just pushing my pelvis downward into the ball. I don't want to be tucking my pelvis up at all. So pubic bone is tilting away from you. You can cross your arms over your chest, your shoulders. I feel like this also helps to keep those ribs a little bit more connected because you're getting that downward pressure with the elbows and the arms. But if that's too much, you can always place your arms down by your side. I am going to cross my arms over my chest, focusing on the ribs heavy and that tail heavy. I'm just going to float that right thigh up to tabletop, finding that balance, that stability on this side, lowering that leg back down, and switching, floating the other leg up. We're just going to alternate back and forth. What I'm looking for is just that instability from one side to the other. I'm trying to feel how connected I am with those obliques, those side abdominal muscles. I'm focusing on not moving the knee joint, but flexing at the hip joint. I'm going to bring my arms down, but I'm still hovering them from the floor to continue to work into my core. As I float the right leg up, I'm going to float the left arm up and lower, and then left, right, and lower. As I'm floating the arm up, I'm really emphasizing the rib cage getting heavier into the mat. You can always press the other arm that you're not working completely down into the floor for a little bit more stability. Checking back in with that pelvis, that it stays heavy into the ball. And then I'm going to cross those arms back over my chest. Next series is bringing both of those legs up to tabletop. Feeling again that the pelvis is heavy and feeling that those ribs are heavy. And from here, without moving my knee joint, I'm going to begin to march. So one leg taps down and up, other leg taps down and up. So at first, I'm just getting used to this motion by bringing the other leg all the way up before switching to the other side. Just helps give that little pause to balance and stabilize you a little bit more. To make it a little bit more challenging, we can switch in midair. So then you're taking that pause away. Checking in with those hips, keeping them heavy into the ball, and checking in with those ribs that they're pointing down towards those hips. This is going to make you feel those deeper, lower pelvic floor muscles. Finding that tabletop position, and then again, we're gonna add in those arms. So again, you can always stabilize with one arm on the floor. I'm gonna keep both of my arms hovering. So as my right leg taps down, my left arm's gonna reach up, and then switch in midair. Feeling that switch in midair, again, makes it more unstable, focusing more on that core strength. Keeping the focus up towards the ceiling so that you're not looking down at your thighs. Trust that your brain is telling your body what to do. You don't have to watch. And rest. Good. So now we're going to float both legs at the same time. I'm focusing at moving from the hips. I don't want to go all the way to the floor, and I might be able to, but it's okay if you don't. That shouldn't necessarily be a goal, right? It's more about maintaining your neutral spine, making sure that the pelvis doesn't shift or change, making sure that the back doesn't shift or change. That is the most important thing, not touching my toes to the floor. Now I'm going to add in those arms again. So for me, I'm going to hover my arms, and as those legs tap down, those arms reach back, and we're flexing together, reaching apart together, flexing in together, out and in. One more, and rest. Hugging those knees into the chest, just relaxing into that lower back, and breathing into that lower waistline. Good. I'm going to remove the ball from under my hips. I'm going to place the ball between my ankles. So you can keep your arms down by your sides, or find your hands underneath your hips for a little extra support. Both of those legs are going to lower together, and both of those legs are going to lift together. Inhale, reaching out and away from you. Exhale as you fold back up. One more. Finding a tabletop position. Both of the legs are going to inhale, reach together. Exhale, flex together. Inhale, reach. Exhale, flex. I'm softening through my hip flexors as I extend those legs. Last one. Bending back in. So now I'm going to add those two moves together, and in some Pilates forms, this is called dolphin. So we're going to inhale, reach those legs up. Exhale to lower those legs, bending those legs back in. Extend straight up, lower down, and bend back in. Reach for 3. Reach for 2. Reach, last one. We're going to reverse it. Out, straight up, bend in. Reach out, straight up, bend in. 3 more. Reach, bend, reach. Extend, straight up, and bend. Last one. Reach, straight up, bend in. Taking your ball out from your ankles. And we're going to rock on up to seated and place the ball at your low mid-back, low ribs, mid-back. So my feet are planted, and I want to feel this length of my lower back. I want my tail to stay pointing down towards the floor, so I'm not like tucking my hips or imprinting that lower back. So I'm nice and neutral in my spine. I'm going to draw my hands behind the head. I'm going to inhale as I extend my upper body back. I have a very flexible spine, so getting back with my head on the floor is effortless for me. But if you're feeling kind of tight, you can stay here, pause the recording, and breathe for a little bit, and just let those ribs open up. We're going to move right into it. I'm going to keep my elbows wide, my shoulders heavy, and I'm lifting from my ribs, curling my head and chest forward. Inhaling as I go back. Exhaling those ribs, flex me forward. Inhaling as I go back. Two more. Last one. We're going to stay here. So we're in this curled position, and we're going to bring both of those legs to tabletop. So again, keeping this nice rounded lower back. And I'm focused and I'm moving from my hip. I'm going to extend one leg, but it's not about how low I take that leg, because now I feel that in my hip as well as the lower back. So going down isn't always good, right? So finding that range of motion for you that works best in keeping your lower back neutral. Extending one leg, pulling in. Reaching the other leg, pulling in. 2, 3, 4. One more round each side. Adding on, we're going to rotate towards the leg that stays at tabletop. Twist from the ribs and alternate twist from the ribs. So I'm not moving from my elbows. I'm turning from my ribs, my shoulders, as though I'm crossing that rib to the opposite hip. Last set, each side, and resting it down. Let the head go back to stretch out those abdominals. We're going to add on going into double leg extension. Curling the head and chest forward, bringing both of those legs back up to tabletop. Inhale, both legs extend. Exhale, bending back in. Inhale, reach. Exhale, flex. Inhale, reach. Exhale, flex. Checking in with those shoulders, sinking them down into their pockets, and feeling like your head is heavy into your hands. Last one like this. Bending back in. We're going to add those arms for a little bit more challenge. So as the legs go out, the arms are going to reach up and pull back in. Inhale, reach. Exhale, flex. For 3, 4, 2 more, 5, last one, 6, hugging those knees in and letting the head go back. So you can see that some of this is going into our stomach series. So we've got 2 more variations. The next one, we're going to extend those legs straight up to the sky. Keep my tail heavy. I don't want to tuck my pelvis, so I'm thinking of that pubic bone tilting down and away from me. I'm going to hold on to the back of the right leg as my left leg lowers. And again, watching that range of motion, how low can your body go without it pulling negatively into your back? We're going to switch those legs. Reach and switch, reach. Keeping your abdominals drawing down towards your spine, but relaxed abdominals. You'll feel them engage on their own. That's the trick. We don't have to hold tension. We don't have to feel like we're gripping. They work on their own. Last set, each side. bending those knees in and letting the head go back. So we've got one more variation, and it's double leg stretch. I personally like my legs in Pilates V because it helps to cut off those hip flexors. So we're going to take those legs back up to the sky and do a little turn out of your feet into Pilates V. You can draw your hands behind the head and both of those legs lower together, exhaling those legs back up, inhaling as those legs lower together and exhaling back up. Something that I say in class all the time is let go of those expectations. You don't have to go very far. This can be a very small range of motion. Your abs will definitely feel it. 2 more. Last one. And rest. Carefully rock yourselves up to seated, and let's do a little butterfly stretch. Soles of your feet together and hinging forward. Just stretching out those hips, maybe assessing and feeling if anything a little tight. Good. So we're going to do a little plank variation to finish up. So we're going to place the ball behind the right knee, coming into a quadruped position. So my hands are rooted directly underneath me. I'm going to extend my left leg straight back, checking back with my legs, making sure my right knee and hip is stacked underneath my hip and knee. And then I'm rooting down into the floor, and I'm floating the knee up, hold for 3, 2, 1, lower it down. We're going to do that 2 more rounds. Root down into the ribs, lift the hips for 3, 2, 1, lower down. 1 more time, root down, lift for 3, 2, 1, and lower. We're going to add on, making this a little bit more challenging. We're going to lift the leg, we're going to turn it out to the right arm, back to center, lower it down, lift, tap, center, lower, lift, tap, center, lower. 2 more, lift, tap, center, lower. Last one, lift, tap, center, and lower. The next one, we're crossing to the opposite arm. So I've got the ball at my right leg, so I'm going to go towards my left elbow. So I'm going to float everything up, and I'm crossing and center. Stay lifted, crossing and center. For 3, 2, 1, lower, down. And then one last variation is keeping the leg bent, obviously, because you have the ball, but we're going to lift the leg upward towards the ceiling. So rooting down 1 more time, lift, and we're lifting the leg and bring it down. Lifting the leg and bring it down for 3, 4, and 5. Lower, rest. Maybe finding a child's pose just to give those wrists a little break before we go to the other side. So I'm going to turn so that you can see the left leg that will be doing the work for this other side. So we're going to extend the right leg straight back. Okay? Root down. The first is just that 3-second hold. Float the knee, hold for 3, 2, 1, lower. 2 more rounds. Hold for 3, 2, 1, and lower. Lift and hold. Last time. 1, 2, 3, and lower. The next one is tapping the left arm. We're in the left side with the ball. So tapping the left arm and lowering it back down. So lifting the hips, tap the arm back to center, lower the knee, lift, tap, center, and lower, lift. 4. One more. And lower. The next one is taking the left knee to the right elbow. Lifting up, hold, cross, and center. Stay lifted, cross, and center. 3 more. Last one. And lower. So then this last variation is keeping the leg bent and sweeping it straight back behind you. Finding that plank one more time. Lift and sweep the leg back and down. For 2, 3, heart stays lifted. 4, one more. 5, lower. Good. You can take your wrists and just flip them over. As I've gotten older, I can tell that my hands just don't like being in that position as long as they used to. And then we'll just come to seated. We'll stretch out the upper mid-back, interlacing your hands together. And we're gonna press the palms forward and round the spine. Breathing into the upper mid-back and the shoulders. And then we're gonna keep the palms facing up as we lift the spine, extending into the ribs and the shoulders. Palms face forward as we round, dropping their shoulders. And palms face up as we lift up. I'm gonna let go of those hands, grab the left wrist with my right hand, and I'm side flexing up and over to the right. Settling heavier into that left hip, maybe looking up underneath that left shoulder. Rising up tall, grab the right wrist, stretch over to the left. Again, maybe looking up underneath that shoulder and settling heavier into that right hip. And rising up. And then interlacing those hands behind the back, lifting the heart, the chest, the shoulders, breathing into that front side body. And release. And we are all through. Thank you for joining me. I hope you have a wonderful day.